Digression.
No. I'm not having it.
I mean, is it food we're talking about?
Definitely.
It's very juicy.
Come on.
But I'm just stating facts.
What were we talking about?
What's up, guys? Salut, I'm Alex, and I make food videos on YouTube.
Hey everyone, my name's Josh, and I edit Alex's food videos on YouTube.
It's good to see you, Josh.
It's good to see you, Alex.
Oh, so nice of you. Together with Josh, we make food videos. Josh is editing my videos. I do film the videos. We obviously talk loads about... Is that a thing, to talk loads about food? Or do you just talk food?
No, we talk loads about food.
Yeah,
we talk a lot about food.
We talk too much about food.
I mean, I'd say it's 90% of the conversation.
So very recently, we had a chat, very interesting chat, about... Maybe you want to start with this, Josh, because you brought it up in the first place.
Yeah, so the reason I got onto this is because I was watching a documentary with Michael Pollan. You know Michael Pollan?
I do.
He did... oh, man, I can't remember the name of it now.
Do I know Michael Pollan?
You know what I mean?
He's like the biggest authority there is in food.
Maybe no, I don't know. Harold McGee, I would say, is probably...
Maybe. Well, I didn't know Harold McGee, so...
Well, there we go. Anyway, this is a digression from the digression.
Okay.
Yeah, Michael Pollan, he did a documentary called In Defense of Food, and he's talking about the way we eat as a modern society, health problems, all lots of different things. And something that came up in this documentary, he mentioned the French paradox. Okay, so immediately I thought of you, obviously.
Thank you.
Because that's my nickname for you, the French paradox. That's what I call you.
I'm definitely a paradox. I'm glad you thought about me when you heard the word just French. Oh, was it more like on paradox or more on French? Or is it just the whole term?
50-50, mate.
50-50.
Yeah, I think
not so great then. Okay. Yeah, the French paradox, I'm definitely familiar with that concept.
Well, do you want to explain your understanding of it?
Yes. So it goes like this. French people eat butter and cream all day long, and yet they somehow remain to be slim.
Yes. So that was kind of the explanation of it. I think he actually went further than that and said not just slim but actually healthy, you know.
Healthy? Whoa.
Yeah, as in they eat, despite the fact that they're eating things that we deem to be unhealthy, they seem to be healthy. There's a lot more to it than that. Something I'd like to point out about this, by the way, we sort of had a pre-chat about this. We brought up the French paradox, and just a little bit of advance warning for the listeners. I'm about to lower the tone a little bit. I said to Alex about the French paradox, and he said, yeah, it's because basically there's so much fat in our diet, and people can't understand why we would be so slim. And you said...
no! Don't bring that up. Please don't. Too late.
You said because of the amount of fat that is in our diet, it means that we end up going to the toilet all the time.
I mean,
which is why we're so slim. You said it lubricates the passage.
I did. That's exactly what I said. I kind of stand by this statement.
No,
but listen. I'm just saying it probably helps in other ways than just what we are going to talk about afterwards.
Can I just point out how ridiculous stating that is how the body works is?
Yeah, the body doesn't work like the body works just to make it funny.
Alex, you're looking in trim and in shape. Have you been exercising? And you're just like, no. I'm just struggling to keep the food inside of me because I'm so oily.
It's slippery.
You're like a log flume.
Exactly. All right, so let's get serious. Shall we? Okay. So the French paradox, besides all the technical explanation we just did, it's a real thing, sort of. Mm-hmm. So I get that from the outside, like people in the US, in the UK, everywhere, that they might be thinking that we stuff our faces with butter and cream. That is one wrong statement in the first place. We do not, I think. That's one thing. So that might explain why. I don't think our diet is that fatty, for that matter. Second, I don't think we are that slim. Because if you only base your observations on big cities like Paris or Lyon, then obviously people it's not representative. What if you were to draw conclusions on the US solely just based on New York or Los Angeles?
Yeah, it's not representative of a whole country. Yeah.
Exactly. If you go to the countryside, the situation might be slightly different. So I'm thinking this has to be taken with like a handful of salt.
And some cream and some butter.
Yeah, maybe. However, I do think that France as a country is less subject to less subject to food-related disease. Like consequences, like in the US, I've seen that because Jamie Oliver told me a lot about this in the past. But
there he is. You love to bring Jamie up, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Have I mentioned that me and Jamie Oliver are friends?
Have I mentioned that we send us pictures of our underwear? We don't do this. We don't do this. What am I saying? I'm stupid.
Sorry, I've thrown you off your perch there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So health-related issues, Jamie Oliver.
I think it was just like out of the top 10 reason why I would die in the US. I think probably 5 of them in the top 10 were related to food.
Yeah.
So it's just like the first one is definitely related to food. It was the third. I mean, it was enormous. It was just like dramatic.
Diabetes, obesity, heart failure.
And I thought, so I did a few research, and even though it is quite serious in France as well, we are definitely facing sort of a similar problem. We are definitely going sort of the same direction, but it's not exactly the same.
Yeah.
So we might be slimmer, and it might have something to do with being French, but I don't think it's related to. I don't think it's a paradox. I think there are very specific reasons for this.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a paradox. I think there are clear distinctions in the food culture between the two countries that we've mentioned. And to be fair, lots of other countries are sort of on the same scale. But do you tell me what you think is different maybe about, let's say, the way that people eat in France to the way that people eat in the UK or in America?
In the UK, for example. So I read something. I'm going to first share what I read and what I heard. So I read, there are 2 things that come to my mind immediately. The first one would be about lunch hours or dining hours. The moment in the day where you have, where you, I'm not going to say sit, but when you have food. So basically in France, they have conducted a survey, and they found out that at 12:30, you've got more than 3/4 of the population eating lunch, having lunch. That's, I thought, well, that had to be expected, because I can see that. You go everywhere, you try to phone someone around lunchtime in France, you get a massive middle finger. The person would just like loudly chew whatever they are eating just to tell you, well, I'm eating, so can you call me back later? And it feels like, okay, you're a burden, you're annoying the person.
I like that they don't just not answer the phone. They're like, no, I'm going to answer the phone. I'm going to let you know that you shouldn't have rang.
Yeah, there's a bit of guilt that is spread through the phone. I like this as well. The other part of the survey, which made it very interesting, they compared it to habits in the UK. And they said the peak of people eating at the same time during the day in the UK would be around 1 p.m. So I thought, well, there's a 30-minute difference. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
But then you had 15% of the population eating at the same time.
Right.
And I thought, wow, that's tiny. That's nothing. And they explained it with the fact that people would eat from 11 all the way to 3, and it would be quite evenly spread during that period, where in France it's massively concentrated in one spot. And this has in my eyes at least, and in the eyes of the guy who did the survey as well, it has an impact on the way you eat. It means that everyone is eating at the same time. So basically, we're eating together.
Yes.
We're eating with other human beings. Where in the UK, and I'm not judging in any way at the moment, just adding this sentence means you're definitely judging. I don't know how you guys do it. You told me you've been working in an office in the past, like a real big office with loads of people. How did it go there?
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing was, what tended to happen there quite a lot was that there would be pockets of people that would go out from the office and would eat lunch together in a cafe or whatever. But let's say there was about 50 people in the office. At any given lunchtime, that might only be 10 people at the most that would do that. A lot of people tended to just go and buy a sandwich, bring the sandwich back to their desk, and either sit and like watch a TV show with the headphones on whilst they ate their lunch, or they might have a natter to people in the office, but they also might be still working, or they'd just carry on with their work so that they could leave earlier at the end of the day. So,
yeah, natural question after this. What did you do?
I would say a kind of a mix of different things. I mean, the weird thing with me was that I was a freelancer working in this office of a company of other people.
Parasite.
Exactly, a virus. I occasionally would go out and eat lunch with them, but also sometimes I would go out and meet other people that I knew in town.
Okay.
And, cool. Organise to go and have lunch with someone else. Mm-hmm. I was probably 50-50. I think when I could organise to go for lunch with other people, I would. Mm-hmm. But there were times when, I would just get a sandwich and sit at my desk. Part of that is because I think because that's what the culture is. That's just what people do. Mm-hmm. So you naturally, as a human being, you end up doing what everyone else is doing, what the socially accepted thing is.
And
the socially accepted thing here is to just get a sandwich and a bag of crisps and a can of Coke and just sit at your desk and watch something and ignore everyone for that hour, which is weird, and I don't particularly like it. So I had a kind of battle between, sometimes doing that, but when I could, trying to eat lunch with other people.
The reason why this just, talk to me is that I can see that eating with other people, with other human beings, this does affect the way we eat. We had a chat about this. It definitely has an impact on how much food you stuff your face with.
100%.
You're around people, you can't just eat like a maniac. Mm-hmm. It's just like, okay, so maybe you're going to share some food with somebody. Maybe you're going to, I don't know, it's just like you're going to be chatting as well. So it's going to be interrupting the moment where you have a food intake. So I'm definitely not a good example in this, because I think these days I do 50-50 as well. I do very often just eat in front of my computer, in front of a series, or in front of work sometimes. Uh-huh. And when I do this, it's automatic. I just stuff my face. I could have an enormous bowl of any food. I would just get to the bottom of it, I think.
That's a good point, what you said, actually, about being interrupted, because you're eating a bite, but you're also having a conversation. So you literally can't talk and eat at the same time. I mean, some people do, but but you shouldn't. I think that has just even the simple effect of, the thing where basically if you eat and then wait 20 minutes, you'll be okay. Whereas if you just continue to eat,
you've got 20 minutes where you can stuff till
exactly
oblivion. Yeah.
Well, I think that's probably true even of if you just eat at a slower rate, then I think your body is more likely to go, you've had enough, than if you shovel it in and shovel it in and shovel it in, and then your body goes, you've eaten too much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's connected to the hour, but it's also, since we're bringing that up, it's also connected to the fact of being, to facing each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like the biggest example being around the table. Mm-hmm. Sitting at the table, having a moment where we are facing each other. It's getting tougher and tougher these days, but looking at each other, sharing a moment together and eating food together, the table being just a symbol of a communal moment, right? Mm-hmm. So this has an impact, a tremendous impact, probably more than just the hour at which you're eating.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is probably going to sound a bit highfalutin, but I actually think that when you eat a meal with other people, part of the fulfillment or the nourishment of that meal is the social interaction. You feel sort of re-energized or full, sort of, it gives you a bit of something by just having had a conversation with someone. It's fulfilling. It makes you feel nourished. Whereas if you've got nobody in front of you, you're just eating by yourself. The only thing that you're getting as sort of satisfaction is just the food that you've got in front of you. So I feel like you are more likely to eat more because you're trying to compensate for the fact that you don't have anyone else to talk to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No. It does make sense. It has a. I'm trying to think of the table these days.
Yeah.
So, in the office where you were working in the past, was there like a big round table somewhere in the office so that people could sit and have lunch?
No, this is the thing. There wasn't a dining area.
Is that a thing? Because I know that in France, usually there's a room for that. There's a big table somewhere, a dining room.
This is, I think, possibly that, if anything, highlights the cultural difference. I think most offices that I'm aware of, anyway, if they have got a kitchen, it's just a kettle, maybe a microwave, and very rarely do offices have designated areas for eating, like dining areas.
Okay,
which
that's weird.
I think they ought to, because for all the reasons that we've just said, and also because I think it would improve people's productivity throughout the rest of the day if they had that hour of fulfillment and nourishment and separation from the rest of the day, and actually taking the time out to go, this is important, let's sit down and just have a meal.
So my only experiences with working spaces in the UK has been within the food industry.
Yeah, so they're gonna have a space, I think.
Yeah, exactly. They had a space. So I can't tell exactly, but here in France, it's often the case. It's often the case. The room isn't like any fancy. It's often a very sad room until it's filled up with people and food, where it becomes something like quite enjoyable. And so in the past, I also used to work in a big office, like enormous office, but there was a restaurant, like a company restaurant, like a canteen, basically in the underground. So we would definitely go for lunch, like around 12:30, and everyone I know would be at the same table. If we can, everyone's at the same table.
Wow, that seems rare. I can't really ever think of a work lunch where I've got, where there was more than 6 people around a table.
That was amazing. I loved it. I was looking for these meals because I mean when you work with these guys, usually it might not be a rule, but you tend to become friends with these.
Yeah.
And so enjoying lunch is a good way to just let go a bit of steam, talk about problems in the office as well, just different things, just to bring a little fresh air to this cooperation, basically, because you're working with these guys. And if I were to eat, I did that a few times, like eating at my desk, but I feel like it's just making the company and so the society just colder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Colder. Maybe there is a compromise somewhere. Maybe there should be something like once a week, but then it would be a dictatorship. It would be too complicated to just force people to eat together. You too, you're gonna eat together and you're gonna enjoy the meal. Have fun. Everyone needs to do at least 2 jokes during the meal, and you that would be stupid. But I feel like maybe there's something. You said it would be great to have tables in offices. I wonder if that's a real estate problem. Maybe they can't afford it. Maybe they can't afford that space. But I feel like it would be mandatory to have this.
I think it ought to be like a legal... I honestly, really genuinely think it ought to be a legal requirement that if you're a company of a certain size, that you should have to have a dining area, one, cooking facilities.
Cooking facilities. But it's impossible. It's impossible because it creates steam and smoke. And
so have the kitchen cordoned off in a separate area with an extractor fan.
I would love that. So that's one thing that has been a massive change in my life since I had this studio. I cook every meal that I eat. Most of the meal that I eat here in the studio, even if I take them on my own, if I have them on my own in front of the screen or whatever, I do cook them. So it takes me a bit of time, and I think it places me in a different mood than if I were to be eating pizza that I didn't make in front of the computer.
Yeah, because you've had a bit more involvement in it, and that.
Yeah,
sort of
and it's
thing.
also if effort demanding. So I can't just make tons of food. I'm gonna make like reasonable amount of food.
Yeah. Okay, well, actually, since we're onto that subject, some of us should probably point out that the hypocrisy of what we're both saying. Yeah, man, you should eat all your meals in a social environment. Neither of us do that pretty much every day of the week. For lunch, at least.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Would you agree?
Right. Yeah, 100%. I would say, I mean, still with a pinch of salt, I would have 2 lunches in a week. I mean, on weekdays where I would go out and meet someone. About 2 out of 5.
So this is the thing. I think we're and maybe lots of other people actually now are experiencing this, given the lockdown and people are having to work from home. Maybe more people are experiencing what we have, where it's like, because we both work sort of on our own in our office space. You don't have the opportunity within the workplace to eat a meal with someone else. So you have to make that happen. You see what I'm saying? Like you said, you have to organise with someone, hey man, let's go get lunch on Wednesday or whatever. And actually, given the increasing lockdown restrictions, even that's becoming more difficult.
I wonder, so just bouncing back on this, I wonder, would that be possible to just have a Zoom lunch with someone? Would you do that?
Listen, I spend enough of my time watching you eat.
Not with me. Not with me, man. I mean, with any of your friends. Would you do that with one of your friends, for example? Would you do a Zoom lunch? Because I can't see myself doing a Zoom lunch.
No, it's not the same. It's not the same somehow. I mean, I suppose even like with lockdown, I've started trying to... At the start, I was doing... everybody was doing these Zoom quizzes. The sort of the pub quiz, but on Zoom. And even after a couple of those, I was like...
Yeah, fed up.
It's so unsatisfying as a social experience, because I don't know what it is. But there's something about actually being in someone's presence. You can sit and not even say anything, but you still get there's something about being in somebody's company. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I got 2 things. First of all, you're not a people person. That's what I get.
Why is that?
And second, you don't want to have lunch with me through Zoom. So I swear I'm gonna make like eating noises because I know it freaks you out. Like,
listen,
I'm
oh
chewing.
Man, we need to do a podcast about that at some point. Listen, I'm happy to talk to you on the days that I do. We have great conversations. I don't need to see you eating. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I would just get the macro lens pointing at my teeth and tongue and anyways.
What we could do instead on a Friday, maybe at some point, we'll get drunk together over
Zoom.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, well, I did that as well with my friends, during first lockdown, and it got real thin, real fast.
Yeah, I bet.
Just annoying at some point because everybody's drunk in no time, and at the end of you end the Zoom. And you're just alone, drunk in your apartment. It's not the best. Not as fun as we plan it to be. So,
anyway, but the I guess what I'm saying is that
what do we do about this? How do we get better at this? How do we become even us a bit more human about this? Should we just strive for or organize our time better to go out and meet? Because I could do that.
Yeah,
I can always phone a friend and say, let's do a lunch on this day, that day. I don't do it out of laziness.
In the current sort of lockdown situation, I guess it's forced me to do it more. And I've come away from it thinking, I'm going to do this. Even once we get past the lockdown, I'm going to continue to do this. Is that because I'm sort of working by myself, I live by myself, so I have to make sure that I book in the social time.
People have never seen your face. They can't know for sure. He's got a robe. He's a monk.
I'm not a monk. My hair is balding on the top, but that's got nothing to do with being a monk. Anyway, I've started doing a thing basically where, and at the minute I can only have one other household that I can visit. So my friend Pete, basically at least once a week, I say to him, I'm going to come over to yours tonight and I'm going to cook dinner. And there's him and his girlfriend and his daughter. So it's great because I'm sort of bringing something by going, let me cook for you. You can have a night of cooking.
Yes.
They enjoy that, obviously. I enjoy getting to do the cooking. And we all sit down together at the table and we spend a couple of hours chatting, eating dinner.
I like this very much.
And it's great. And I think the more that I can manage to do that, the better. Like you said, sometimes it's just not realistic to be able to do it every day for work.
No, sometimes it's just not realistic to expect like a meal with other people all the time for every meal. However, I'm just going to point out something. So if for lunch, I'm often by myself in the studio, most of the weekdays at least, for how do you call the meal at the end of the day? The dining for
is this very much
supper.
It depends.
Anyways, at night,
dinner, supper, tea.
Okay, so for dinner, I'm often with my family, and I'm cooking for them. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely share at least two meals a day because we've got breakfast every morning together, and then we've got dinner most of the time together. So I don't feel left alone, and I don't feel like I'm getting I don't know, a bit less human by not sharing meals with others. No, I'm fine with this. And to be honest, let's just state something. It's also very enjoyable sometimes to eat on your own.
Oh yeah, of course.
I love this sometimes. It's just amazing.
I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with occasionally whacking Netflix on, having
an enormous bowl of ramen.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say a bowl of noodles, yeah. And just slurping that down and really enjoying that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I also don't think there's anything wrong with, at some point, getting, takeaway pizza and saying, should we watch a film and sit on the sofa and eat this?
Best night.
Absolutely fine. The problem is, I think, that comes in is that now, for a lot of people, they never eat a meal at the table with other people.
That's sad.
And
you're right.
I'm not saying it has. Exactly. It doesn't have to be every single meal. I just think it's kind of important to check in with that aspect of being human.
I feel like it's always the first step that is the most complicated. Like as soon as you sit at the table, it's an enormously enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
But it always feels, for valid reasons, it seems easier to sit in a sofa than on a chair.
Which, stupidly, on a practical level, it absolutely definitely isn't.
Why?
Because you're trying to balance the plate, and if you've got anything vaguely liquidy, do you put a cushion on here, or do I get a little?
Yeah, but for the bottom, it's just like softer.
Yeah, all right, maybe.
That's what I implied. But you're right. You're going to have stains everywhere.
And you're going to have back pains because you're hunched over in a weird position.
If you want to save your back, eat with other people.
There's peas flying off your plate everywhere, just going.
Yeah, you're right. It's not practical.
Whereas the table has been designed for this experience. It's a flat surface, hopefully. It's a flat surface that, you can put the plate on, leave it there. You can even get up and walk away from the plate.
It's an amazing device. Yeah, it's an amazing device.
It's an amazing peak bit of technology.
Yes, it's
that
great.
We take for granted.
Just sit at the table. You'll have an amazing experience. Something you've never experienced before. It's just like mind freaking blowing.
But you know what? There are so many things pulling us away from the table all the time. Whether it's like, your phone or the TV or
I mean, if you behave, you do that. Phone doesn't go on the table. That's a rule.
If I'm eating with other people, the phone is out of sight.
Yeah, I got a very specific rule in my family. If anyone brings a phone to the table, they are fined. Yeah, like literally money.
Do you have a jar that you have to put you have to put €1 in?
Exactly, and I can tell you that these guys, they never miss me if I do it, and I'm fine with it because I made the rule myself.
Yeah,
because I know I'm the one who's most likely to bring the phone at the table because I'm constantly on social. So I made the rule just to punish myself or to just train myself.
Get off of social media and get onto social realism. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But I think we touched something valuable today. I think just trying to do maybe, I don't know, a few meals a week, maybe one meal a week at the table. It's the fondest memories I have are moments at the table with my grandma, with my aunt, on my dad's side, on my mom's side. The absolute best memories. I can't think of any other memories than just eating. I had a very specific childhood where we kept on eating, but at the table with people I like, just having fun.
Yeah. And absolutely. And also, like, I think, like, my memories, not even just of childhood, but sort of, you know, like, I don't know, a night out where you all go out for a meal, or even when I'm on holiday, I've got so many memories of being on holiday that are me and friends sat around a table.
Drinking.
Well, yeah, but the food came first.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean, though? Like, as in, the nights where it's just been drinking, I don't remember. So, you know, they're not memories.
These memories.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, just being... maybe there's a thing as well when you're on holiday where you literally don't have the other distractions. It's like you eat a meal at a table or nothing. Like, that's it. That's the only option. So in a way, you almost like commit to it more and end up having a better time because of it.
So I've been reading this book, Atomic Habits, recently. Okay. And there was one very specific chapter which I think could apply to this situation. The author said, make the bad habits extremely difficult to be performed.
Yes.
Make their life very hard.
Exactly.
And make the good habits super easy to be performed. So if I were to apply this to the table and to dining, for example, with the family or with friends, it would be have a tablecloth always on with like wine in the fridge, maybe. Have all the plates ready, like on a shelf super close to the table.
To the table, yeah.
Yeah, make it super easy for you. And it would be use an automatic socket in the wall that just unplugs the Wi-Fi router at lunchtime. That would just be a pain.
I'm imagining you've got a little tripwire that basically goes from the back of one of the chairs. So as soon as you sit on the chair, it pulls the router out of the wall.
Yeah, but that could be one solution. I had a friend who did that at night. Around 10 p.m., there's an automatic setting that just shuts off the Wi-Fi thing. And he's just in bed and he's just thinking, I'm gonna get up and turn that thing on. But no. You don't do it.
You don't do it because lazy. It's too far away, yeah.
Exactly. Actually, and that is just enough to prevent you from... So he's making his bad habit like...
difficult to fulfill.
Exactly. Thank you.
I've done exactly the same thing over the past few months in that I know that if my phone is in my room, when I wake up, I'm going to be checking Instagram or my emails or something... or WhatsApp or whatever, within about 15 minutes of being awake. Whereas if I put my phone in the living room, then I might not even check my phone for an hour and a half because I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to the kitchen, I'm going to make a coffee, I'm going to have a glass of water.
No, so maybe 2 hours and a half then. Yeah. Because just as a reminder, Josh roasts his beans in the morning.
Well, listen, it depends because some days I've done them the day before. So if I've done that, then I've afforded myself a bit of time. Yeah. But you know what?
Very organised man.
I'd rather spend my time doing that than on WhatsApp in the morning.
You're right.
But I couldn't agree more. I think sometimes there is a tendency to think, why don't I have the willpower to just not look at my phone? And sometimes we have to remember it's been designed to take your attention. So there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, in that case, I have to move it away from myself. And the same thing for the table, I think, that if you understand, when it comes to that decision point of going, should we eat dinner on the sofa or in front of the TV, or should we eat at the table? You've got to understand that the sofa TV situation has been sort of engineered to pull you in and have you eat at that location.
So let's do a parallel with food in general. So computer and Netflix, just because it's easy doesn't mean it's good for you. It's a bit like crisps.
Yes,
they are amazing. The crisp has been engineered to be just that subtle sound, satisfying eating experience,
crunchy texture,
on point.
salty, umami,
on point.
Got all the things, and also
yet we
not so flavorful that you stop eating once you're full.
That's amazing.
They under flavor it slightly so that you just continue to keep eating them.
So the parallel would be that yes, it's amazing. No, it's not that good for you. So maybe we could see the chair and the Netflix and the computer group as like a bag of crisps, an oily bag of crisps.
Yeah.
It might be the wrongest example ever, because it might make it just even more enjoyable. A bag of crisp.
Yeah, but you say that, but if you only eat crisps, you're going to feel pretty bad fairly soon.
Thank you. That's going to be the conclusion for today, I think. Because that's exactly the thing. Take it, but not for every lunch. Yes.
Yeah. Well, let me add another point in here. There's something that I've been thinking about this whole thing, and I just want to...
I hope it's not an anecdote about me saying something stupid again.
It's not, I promise.
Thank you.
So, to me, I think that there's an aspect of... Like, the one thing that you said that struck me is, when we're sat around the table, we're looking at each other, right? You're looking at another human being. Whereas, when you're in the office, eating your lunch and looking at Netflix, you're not looking at another human being. When you sat on the sofa, and even if there's a few of you and you're all looking at TV, you're not looking at another human being. Now, the thing that I thought was, the table to me is like a modern day version of the caveman's fire. It's the communal point at which we all come round to eat the food. Yeah. It's where the action is happening. We gather around it and we look at each other.
Makes sense.
So I started thinking, well, what would be the caveman equivalent of people sat on the sofa or people sat in the office watching Netflix?
Look at the fire, no?
Yeah, but it would be each person in that caveman clan with their own fire, facing away from each other. Staring as well. This is the thing with the screen. If you think about it, to a caveman, they're not going to understand what the information is on the screen. So it's just going to look like someone staring into a fire a foot from their face.
It would be very weird for them.
Shoveling as much food as they can into their face. Yeah. It would seem like absolute insanity that anyone would ever do that. But we don't think about it like that. Because
we compromise, a bit of sense in all this. I think we didn't do a bad job today. I'm gonna self-pat us on the back, because I feel like I just want to have lunch with someone, and I'm hungry, and I'm just gonna phone someone to try and have lunch with someone.
Mate, I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna get any work done today. I'm going out for lunch for the next 4 hours.
That's amazing. You're fired. Thank you. We'll see us next time. Okay.
All right, man. Good.
See you. Have a good one, man.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.